All right, LD MMAC, you guys know the routine. Forgive the background noise. Let's go. Let's get into it. Okay, I've always said sometimes that, you call somebody a brother. If you call them a brother, man, they're supposed to have your back, okay? They're supposed to legit have your back no matter what, okay? They're supposed to. But when it comes to, Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya, they don't have Ngannou's back, okay? Look, Ngannou, he's actively speaking out about fighter pay. He's talking about it. And, Ngannou, I can admire Ngannou. He complained about it before he signed the contract. Okay, Ngannou, to me, didn't sign the contract and didn't start complaining about the fighter pay. Because with Dana White, I do agree, look, you signed the contract. Don't sign a contract and then you start complaining about what the pay is. That don't make sense. It's like these guys, they sign these contracts and then they get an epiphany. They get an epiphany, oh man, I could have been paid more. Well, I mean, you should have realized that at the negotiation and at the negotiation table. You should have realized that when it was time to negotiate. But sadly, just a lot of these fighters, they just sign the contract. Because at the time, the contract that they signed seems like big money. But see, Kamaru Usman and Israel Adesanya, they're not backing, okay? They're not backing Francis Ngannou. They ain't backing him. Okay, and here's the thing, man. The thing of it is that they don't want to crush their interest, because if Usman and Adesanya start really speaking out about fighter pay, okay, then their financial future could be in jeopardy. I mean, hell, you had Usman. He was begging Dana White, begging him. I'm talking about Usman begged him for a fight, for a payday. Hey, Dana, go on, throw me up in that lineup, Dana. Yeah, go ahead, man. You can do it. Come on, I've been wanting you to throw me in that lineup. And Dana was like, dude, you ought to be okay. You've made a lot of money your last couple of fights. Like, okay, two six-figure paydays. I mean, that's a lot of money to Dana White. And who is Dana White to tell this guy how much money is enough? Like, this is crazy. But Usman was begging Dana White for a payday. And I'm sitting here like, damn. So we already know Usman not going to stand up for fighter pay. He ain't going to do it. I mean, for what? Because he think he going to mess up his bag. He think he going to mess his bag up. And Adesanya too busy sexually assaulting his opponents to even care. So I always say sometimes, all skim folk just ain't kin folk, y'all. All skim folk sometimes they just not kin folk. Because, these people, they'll say that, hey, I'm your brother. But then when the rubber meets the road, they don't want to talk about it. See, do you know if all the top fighters in the UFC, if they collectively talked about how bad the fighter pay is, if they did it, and if they collectively just said, okay, I'm not going to fight, okay? If they all just say, hey, I'm going to retire. Now, it sounds stupid, like, right? This sounds dumb, because what are they going to do? What are they getting out of this? Well, the thing of it is, what they're getting out of it is that they can actually, prompt change. They can prompt change. They can be able single-handedly to prompt change, because you have your top stars just saying, okay, I'm not fighting. I don't care what you do. I'm just not fighting. I'm going to pull out this fight. I got an injury. If everybody just start doing that, the UFC, they'll lose a lot of money, man. They'll lose more money. And instead of losing money, it'll prompt them to want to pay money for what the fighters want. Okay? And then if the UFC say, okay, well, we'll just get somebody else. That's fine. But is it going to be of the same caliber? Okay, this is hypothetically. I got to say hypothetically, because we got a lot of sensitive mofos online that can't understand simple what I'm saying. Hypothetically, let's say if all the champions and then all the top five just said, you know what, I'm sick of fighter pay, I'm not fighting anymore. Wow. You know how much money the UFC can lose? Because the UFC, they probably might not want to admit, but some of their fighters, they do have fans that pay to watch them. Could you imagine if all the champions, Nunes, Shevchenko, Blachowicz, Adesanya, okay, all these guys, Usman, if they just said, you know what, I'm not fighting anymore. Till the fighter pay situation is addressed, I refuse to fight. Let's just say if them and then the top five if the top five in every division just say, nope, what are they going to do? How are you going to prove? I mean, fighters, they lie about being injured all the time. They get doctors to say that they're hurt. And then, too, if you tell your doctor, hey, I don't feel good, this not work, what is your doctor going to do? Your doctor gonna give you, he gonna give you a note, gonna give you a prescription, he gonna tell you to go get something, and then he's gonna say that you're unfit to fight, or you can't because you have this going on or this illness. Fighters, they use injuries or they use COVID all the time to get out of fights. What is the UFC? They can't sue all those people. They can't, it's just, it would be a mass hysteria in the UFC. And then they be trying to find all these replacement fighters. But the replacement fighters, yeah, they might get a show. They may get a show, but guess what? They'll get a show, but it won't be the same caliber. And people not going to pay to see Joe Blow or a bunch of fighters that they just brought into the company. People ain't going to pay to see that, man. They ain't going to pay to see it. Think about your main event, two guys that's from the sparring gym, or they pull a guy up the street and give him a contract. Like, I'm being hypothetical, y'all. But the thing of it is, though, if your main stars are not fighting, okay, how do you think that impacts the company? Like, how do you really think that would impact the company? See, what's going to happen, I don't think that situation would ever happen, okay? Because we got a whole lot of fighters that's just, they starstruck. It'd be crazy, man. You see a fighter, they get their UFC, they get signed. And the first thing they do, man, they don't care, man, that they just signed a 12-12 contract, right? They don't care. They don't care that they just signed it. Like, dang, you go in here and you win. And then let's say if you get a performance bonus, okay, you get 24 grand. Then they don't think that 24 grand quickly becomes about 10 grand to 8 grand after you pay taxes, managers, and whoever else you got to pay. It quickly becomes 8 to 10 grand. And then your fighter purse, you got to wait for a whole nother payday again. Okay, you got to wait, and hopefully that they book you into another fight, hopefully in the same year. Okay, and then you go do it again, and then you'll make another $10,000. So these new fighters, they don't even think about the contracts that they just signed. They'll sign any contract to get their foot in the door because they got this mentality like, hey, okay, I'm going to get my foot in the door, and then I'm going to make a name for myself. Then I'll make the big bucks. That's their mentality. Oh my goodness. And a lot of these fighters, they don't have any business sense. They don't have any. They have zero business sense. So they sign a contract. Because they think that if they don't sign a contract, the opportunity will never come again. I get that. I get that mentality too. I get that too. But if you really believe your worth is more than what you're signing, I don't see why they sign it, but they starstruck. So a lot of these other fighters, they're not leaving. They're not going to leave. And some of these fighters, man, they unwisely live fight to fight. Like, seriously, you got fighters that live fight to fight. They ain't got no side hustles. They ain't doing nothing else to generate income for themselves. They just, they wait on their fight pay. That's it. Stupid. But you can't tell some of these people nothing. So, for us to think that, Adesanya and Usman, they're going to, maybe jeopardize their standing or position in the UFC, they ain't going to do it. They're too pretty much vested into getting these guaranteed 6-figure paydays. Guaranteed. And they may get 1 million. They may get over 1 million with pay-per-view points. So they don't want to mess that up because it took them a while to get to the position where they can actually get the pay-per-view points. See, people don't get how long it takes for a fighter to reach pay-per-view status and to get those points. You just don't get those. Okay, you just don't get them. Like, it takes you a while to get to that status. You have to fight a lot of fights, and you got to beat some really, really top names in order to get to that position. So these top fighters, they're not gonna go on strike, or they're not gonna do anything like that to jeopardize that. So they ain't gonna do it. Even though the top fighters, they know that they're not being paid what they're worth. They know it. Okay, they know. Like Masvidal, he knows. That's why he had the UFC restructure him a whole nother contract before he fought for that BMF. And evidently the contract was what he wanted because they fought. Okay? They fought. They went out there, they fought, they did their thing. So, Masvidal was that dude. He went in there and demanded that he got what he wanted, and he got it. But all the fighters, they don't have that kind of bargaining power. They don't have it. They can't do it because they're not bringing no money in. They're not putting no butts in the seats. And that's bad. I mean, if you know that you're putting butts in the seats, strike. See what they do without you. See if they can bring in another top talent or another top star. If let's say if even 70% of your roster just say, okay, that's it. Tired of fighter pay. I'm out. I'll find something else to figure out how to pay my bills. I got it. See, either the UFC, they're gonna have to do one or two things. They're gonna have to bend or they're just going to have to move on. And I don't think that they can fill those roster spots and still rake in the money that they've been raking in. Okay, so the UFC, they're going to have to bend. But fighters, they don't think like that. They don't think like that at all. They just think, hey, I'm the fighter. All I do is fight. I just want to fight. And that mentality, this is what keeps them broke. This is what keeps these guys broke. This is why they don't have the money that they want to have at the end of their careers. This is why you see like 45 and 46-year-old fighters getting back into an octagon or trying to get into a boxing ring. And really at 45 and 46, MMA, they throw you away. They throw you away. Like MMA at 45, 46, and 47, MMA don't want you no more. You're out of there. You're done. Okay, that's it. Boxing don't take you. That's why you see these guys going to box. Because they had poor money management skills. The strategy was it was terrible. They and they don't think that right now striking to get better fighter pay will set them up in the future. But hey, and again, none of us watching this video, none of us are bringing in that kind of money just to go do about 25 minutes of work.